Bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham dhammam sangham namasami. Everybody, I'm gonna start by rejoicing in all of your goodness here today. It's a really rare and beautiful occurrence. People wanting to come on their Sunday, come and learn to get their minds peaceful, get together with good friends, practice. Rejoice in your very wise decision. Many other ways we could be spending our times, and they all have their own effects, results. Remember when I started to meditate, particularly when I started going on these long asana retreats. My first one, I went in and walked into this place. 10 days later, I walked out and I felt like completely transformed, but for the better. Really light, more peace and contentment than I've ever experienced in my whole life. More insight and wisdom and understanding about the nature of suffering, how to abandon it, how to abandon the causes of suffering. And it's more like love, kindness, forgiveness, all these really beautiful qualities in 10 days. And that was like a really remarkable, important insight for me that, wow, I made this choice to spend time in a specific location and the results were so transformative. So then what am I doing? Not spending as much time as possible in such a place. So here I am, wearing robes, as a Buddhist monk. And when I was 20, I sat my first course meditation retreat, but when I was 19, I started to meditate every day and study as much Buddhism as I could. And I found that, between those few years, when I was practicing quite intensely, keeping the 5 precepts, meditate 2 hours a day. So between 20 and 23, I tried to work and travel, and I had, some positive experiences. I learned quite a bit, but I found that the whole time, my heart was really dedicated towards progressing in the Dhamma. And really the only thing I was really truly interested in and fascinated by, and spending all my free time studying, and found that everything else I just kind of had to get through it in order to practice, which now I see is not the most mature understanding of the practice. I think over time you see that really every moment is an opportunity to practice, but I didn't quite see it in that way at that time. But I had an aspiration to become a monastic when I was 20. So I had that in my mind for those few years, and I knew that I didn't want to create any blocks to ordaining, such as debt and relationships, and I wasn't really trying to pursue a career or anything. But I wasn't able to progress in my Dhamma practice as much as I desired to, so kind of stuck in the middle. And after a few years, pretty depressed and needed to make a decision. I was feeling just stuck, not really progressing in a direction. So that's when I found my way to Arrow River Forest Hermitage first with Ajahn Dhamma. So I spent 4 months there as a steward, so helping cook and shopping, do chores around helping Ajahn Puna. And I sat a retreat there as well. And when I went into the retreat, I requested a long retreat. I felt I was ready. 7-week retreat. I only did like 10-day retreats up until then. And I did like 5 or 6 10-day retreats, and they went well. So now I know what I'm doing. And just leave me alone, put me in a little hut in the forest, and I'll do it myself. Enlightenment, here I come. Yeah, it didn't quite work out that way. It was yeah, it was like hell for 7 weeks. Very few instances of peace. I was just battling with all the hindrances, doubt and dread, fear and lust and anger and just drowsiness, just trying to stay awake. But the retreats, when I meditating with a large group and have instructions and teachers and guidance, it was much easier. I also wasn't going to Ajahn Dhamma for any advice because I was, doing the Goenka Vipassana thing and was fearful that if I got different meditation instructions, then they wouldn't allow me to sit the longer courses. So that was, so you understand why I wasn't going to Ajahn Dhamma. I regret that now. I think it would be a very different experience because Ajahn Dhamma was incredibly wise and experienced practitioner, and he could have helped me a lot. I wouldn't have suffered nearly as much. But fortunately, I think I came to the right conclusion at the end of that I need help. I need guidance and training. So that's why I went to Tisarana after that and started the training there with Longpur Dhamma. And after only a short time of being there, maybe just like a month, I was already started the training, had my own little hut in the middle of the forest. So endless time to practice, meditate, and living with a whole community of people who are completely dedicated to Buddhist teaching, and had a amazing, wise teacher guiding me for your Dhamma, and a community that was offering me food and clothing and shelter and medicine. Their only request was for me to practice and realize Nibbana. Oh, this is pretty cool. How is this possible? And yeah, how? Why is not everybody doing this? Of course, over time, I see how incredibly challenging it is to give up so much. And there's really no break. Can't put play clothes on and go out for a party and or something like that. So I think over time I've really grown to appreciate the difficulty of training the mind, and definitely working with a strong spiritual ego, sitting a few retreats and getting peaceful and feeling super confident and developing a strong sense of self around say, success in the practice. But then, or say 99% of people practices like this. It's like the maybe 0.1% that go like this. And that 0.1%, it's not that they're just lucky. It's that they've been, say, past lives that put forth a lot of effort and practiced a lot. So they're just, experiencing the results of their practice. So are we. So I think the Buddha's teachings on patience, that patient endurance is the highest practice for burning out comments, I think has been like a constant theme in my life. And the more I practice, the more this quality of patience, I see how important it is. Like for instance, came to meditate today, and you close your eyes and focus on your breathing and start falling asleep, or the mind keeps just rolling and thoughts about something from the past or the future. You might feel quite discouraged and say, oh, well, I'm useless. I can't meditate today, or, I can't meditate at all. And it's not for me. Get up and you'll leave. That's it. It's finished. Your spiritual cultivation, or cultivation of this Buddhist path. Whereas if you were learn to be patient with it, understanding that not all experiences are impermanent. You can think that, the moment you woke up today to this moment, how many different thoughts you've had, how many different emotions you've experienced, just come and go, how many different sensations in your body. The state of constant flux, constant change. So sometimes I felt really kind of low, as a monk, thinking, oh, like, maybe this path isn't for me. My meditation was going very well. This is it. I'm never going to really get any farther than this. And a week later or a month later, my mind just flips. Yeah, everything's different. Oh, things are rolling now. I have more kind of clarity and understanding, and I feel like relieved that I didn't give in to those emotions when they arose before, because now I feel totally different, like really content, really happy with my decision to be a monk. It's a patient endurance because it's not going to be pleasant, and it takes quite a bit of courage to be with and face the unpleasant. The unenlightened mind is run on seeking the pleasant and trying to avoid the unpleasant. And this encompasses our whole lives for the most part. And it's very tiring path, very tiring way of being, constantly running away from things, running towards things, never satisfied, always seeking happiness and contentment in changing impermanent things. They're just in their nature completely unsatisfying. Finally get something that you want, an experience, a person, job, financial security, or good health. Those will change. They're not a refuge, but they can be very helpful and supportive for having a fulfilling and meaningful life, but they're not a true refuge from suffering. And so the true freedom, say in the moment where strong emotion, very unpleasant experience, and just being with and allowing it to be, just that alone, there's a deep weight. I don't have to change things, I don't have to fix things, do anything. It's that struggle in the mind and just drop away. Long Course Meal, it's like this. And you bring it in and you allow it, and you face it and observe it patiently, patiently. Hopefully with an attitude of like curiosity. What's happening here? What's going on? The First noble truth of dukkha. But what do we do with that dukkha? We're supposed to understand it. First noble truth to be understood. How can you understand something if you're trying to avoid it? You don't want to be with it. You don't want to look at it. Meditation can be for many people, or at least sometimes, this desire and seeking for a particular experience that maybe you've had before, peace and bliss, or something you've read about. So you're really just cultivating more craving and desire. You really want to turn our attention towards whatever's arising in this moment, and we want to understand it. We'll understand these things in line with their characteristics. Buddha wants us to process our experiences through the lens of the three characteristics. Right? So, impermanent, anicca, anatta, not self, and dukkha, unsatisfactoriness, stress. So I would say, again, you in the midst of some kind of emotional storm or confusion, and what do? So again, just distract yourself, watch a movie, watch music, listen to music, talk to somebody, eat some good food. Just try to distract yourself from it, let it pass. The Buddha wants us to that doesn't really take care of the issue, it kind of pushes it down. So we want to face it and understand it. So, all right, I have a lot of stress right now. What is the stress comprised of? All there's thoughts, emotions, bodily sensations, tension somewhere in the chest, abdomen, your nerves just on edge. Observing, say, the sensations coming, going, seeing that they're changing, reminding oneself that, oh, these are impermanent, unstable thoughts coming and going, moods and emotions, memories rising, passing away. Where am I in this? Where's that self? I think, oh, I'm suffering, I'm stressed, I'm anxious, or really happy, I'm joyful, or confused, or always identifying with our experience. It's very heavy, it's a lot of suffering. And the Buddha said we're not attending to our experiences correctly. If we're attending to it, what am I, how am I, or the past, what was I, how was I, thinking in the future, what will I be, how will I be? So that's wrong attention. It's going to lead to more suffering. and that's full of just avidya, wrong understanding, sense of self. So in the present, it's nothing but change. Where's the stable core self there that I believe is there? You don't just read the text and say, "Oh, the Buddha said there's no self, so there's no self," and that's a truth. I'm a Buddhist. That's not what the Buddha wants you to do. He wants you to put it to the test and see for yourself what he means by that. I think more precisely, it's that which we identify as self is not worth identifying as a self. It's when we do that, the result is suffering. But that's apart from any take some philosophical stance necessarily if there's no self, but just notice in your own experience that when you do create a self, believe a self to be, identify oneself with one's five khandhas, sensations, thoughts, moods, emotions, the body, the result is just suffering. This is something you have to see for yourself over time. When you are stressed or suffering, try to keep questioning what's really happening here. What's the truth of this? Instead of just believing the conventional reality or the storyline you're telling yourselves or your habitual ways of responding. Try to see under the surface using the Buddha's teachings, examining, trying to get to the truth. So back visiting family, and we have a lot of, at least I do, a lot of conditioning family. Good conditioning and some less good. And so I experience, I can get triggered by different family members. It's like, because I live far away most of the time. The stuff that's arising, it's very clearly old stuff. It's like, little Khema, little son or little brother. And so for me, there's a lot of practice in that patience, but then also not identifying with, trying to maintain the understanding that this is just old habits, old conditioning, old stuff called vipaka karma, or the fruit of past karma. And it's the way I've conditioned habitual responses in the past, conditioned the mind. And so now those particular conditions have aligned again for them to arise in the present moment. And but it's old stuff. It has the potential, it's not fresh karma. It has the potential to condition the mind in the present moment. It's old habits that arise. And how do I relate to it? It has the potential to create fresh karma, but only the potential. If you relate to that conditioning correctly, you just know it. Oh, this is impermanent, it's old karma, it's not me. And it's fire. If I touch it, cling to it, I identify with it as me, well, I'll just suffer. It's like, no, thank you. So really those, using these three characteristics should bring up this quality of dispassion. Buddha really praise this quality and said how important it is. We raga, dispassion. It's like losing one's interest in this process of identification, craving and aversion, suffering. So that, old habits arise, and it's just full of tension, anger, confusion, animosity, "Ah, no, I don't want to get anywhere near that. It's just kind of dirt, or Buddha said to think of it as like cancer or disease. So it helps maintain this distance from it, and it passes away. And the mind, it's a moment of freedom, really. Because if you don't have that mindfulness in that moment or that wisdom, old conditioning merges with the mind and awareness, then you take birth. Angry Khema or resentful Khema, whatever can arise. You take birth into this identity, this emotion, and into this whole drama and complexity of me and you and the situation and the past. Ah, so heavy. So one can really also understand, say, rebirth in a like moment to moment way as well. The conditioning arises and one believes it, one takes birth into it, takes birth into this world of suffering, its identity. Or one says, no, thank you. That's just suffering. Passes away. One didn't take birth. One is actually cultivating very wholesome, very skillful qualities when one is doing this practice. Patience itself is a parami. It's a spiritual quality that's a great aid and a resource for us in our lives, in our practice. And then one can has that space to decide, okay, I don't want to touch that. I don't want to go in that direction. How about this direction? The freedom to choose. Okay, I'm going to go in the direction of forgiveness, kindness, compassion, instead of resentment, animosity. Clearly, that's risen for me recently. Resentment, just feeling it. Going over how this person has wronged me so often in the past. And the whole storyline has arisen. It's like a lot of kind of effort, and it was like a day or two of it just arising and arising and arising, and just trying to be very patient with it, and trying to bring my mind back to seeing it in line with the Dharma. It was a bit tiring, but that's what it takes. Just one's commitment to truth, and then also commitment to, say, harmony, kindness, in one's family, one's friends. That takes priority over one's ego or one's pride. Yeah. The practice is internal and external. I'm always trying to abandon, let go of unskillfulness, suffering in ourselves, cultivate the wholesome. And then externally as well, we do the same thing, always trying to uplift and encourage those around us, and to keep good virtue, and to learn to make their minds peaceful, to develop wisdom, more harmony we have externally, more harmony we have internally, more peace and happiness we can experience. So what are we encouraging around us, or the people around us? A useful reflection. So if we're venting to somebody, and somebody wronged us at work or something, and we're venting to our friend and full of anger and kind of putting this person down and trying to prove to our friend how terrible this person is, right? And they say, "Oh yeah, what a donkey, what a terrible person." So you're encouraging in the minds of those around you the development of unskillful qualities, skillful mental states. And you're putting forth effort for yourself and bringing up in cultivating unskillful mental states that have already arisen. Well, like this, whatever resentment may have arisen. And then you put forth effort to let it grow and grow and grow. And then you want to spread it around to your friends. And maybe in your friend, unskillful qualities weren't arisen, but now they've arisen because of your actions, right? I just want to see how are our actions, body, speech, what are their effects around us? Are they uplifting goodness and wholesomeness, kindness, forgiveness? Are they increasing unwholesome, unskillful qualities? And these are actually quite vital for one's own practice. Sitting here right now, closing your eyes, it's within the context of one's whole life. And so if we're having trouble getting peaceful, we have to also turn our attention towards the rest of our life as well. How are we acting, speaking? What are we doing? What are we applying our mind and attending to on a consistent basis? What type of content are we consuming? Or substances we're consuming? Drinking alcohol, taking drugs, these things have the effect of dulling our mind. Mindfulness just goes out the window. And so it's kind of the opposite direction of the path. I guess just a final, right? Have any questions? Just a overall encouragement to try to bring this practice into one's every moment. Like right now, you can really be attending to your breath while listening to me. Right? You can be in the body, feeling the body, rooted in the body, listening, sitting. After this, when you're walking to your car, to the subway, you can be with your feet walking, be with your breath. You can be contemplating impermanence, changing sights and sounds around you, feelings, sensations, emotions. And when anger or an unskillful emotion arises, you should be putting forth effort to try to abandon it however you can, or at the very least, just be patient. Try not to act or speak from an unskillful state of mind. So even just biting one's lip or biting one's tongue or just keeping one's mouth closed is a very important part of the practice. A lot of the time, it can come from compassion and wisdom, right? You notice, okay, and mindfulness, you see, oh, my mind's very unskillful right now, and maybe there's not insight in this moment to abandon it completely. So I have to be quite careful out of concern and compassion for myself and for others. Because if I speak or act from this place, probably nothing positive will probably come from this. You can think about when you've acted this way in the past from this particular state of mind. So then just not acting, not speaking, patient, allowing it to pass. There's a lot going on there. And so it's important. So, leave it there for today.
Dhamakataya, Sadhu Karandamase, Sadhu, 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 Anumodam.